cost of running a legacy WAN can be very, very expensive. I think the traditional concept of I need this really expensive hub and spoke, I need this really expensive MPLS network, and then I have these backup connections that sit idle all the time, is really something that has to go away. I think the legacy WANs were built on this concept of active-passive networking, and ultimately what we want to do is be able to have active-active.
And you talked about that active-passive, that type of backup and parallel networks and supplement networks to their primary. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
I think broadband is highly under-leveraged as far as WAN connectivity goes. And I think there's a bit of a legacy stigma with broadband. I think when broadband first came on the scene, it wasn't exactly the best quality. In fact, a lot of businesses played around with consumer quality broadband to be able to augment their WANs and had some degree of success, some good, some bad, but ultimately the experience was pretty varied. Broadband today, especially corporate class or business class broadband, has changed a lot. The quality is excellent. And I would bet that almost any company, if they were to re-architect their WAN and use multiple broadband connections and intelligently route traffic down the best connection at the time, they would get performance that is on par or maybe even better than that MPLS connection.
Fantastic. And at a price point, I assume
At a price point that would be probably a tenth, an order of magnitude less.
You also discuss in the white paper this capacity challenge, that more and more requirements for bandwidth. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
The funny thing about bandwidth is no matter how much we have, we always use. And so if you think of legacy network models, we really built those things on T1s. And so we're talking about 1.5 meg of bandwidth, right? Now think of the LAN. Conservatively, your LAN is 10 meg. More realistically, is 100 or a gigabit. So you're talking somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 1,000 times less bandwidth on your WAN. So it becomes a big choke point. If you look at what's being done in business today, there's much more focus on video conferencing, streaming media. In fact, many organizations have made all of their training and a lot of the customer service tools available as streaming downloads for employees to look at anywhere. And so we started off talking about the distributed enterprise. Part of the value of a distributed enterprise is being able to train people remotely, be able to service customers from anywhere, and much of that has to do with finding new ways of interacting over the WAN. So if you're going to have these applications built over a LAN, your WAN needs to at least come close to the performance in order to have relatively close user experience.